Hello, hello. Pushing on with more on Vidcast Ness. So, where do we leave off with Blitzel here inside Deathtrap Dungeon? Fighting fantasy epic by Ian Livingstone. Well, Blitzel was about to go into a pipe. So, he crawls in and he finds a sapphire in there and an iron key, which is pretty good. Climbs back out, passes a couple of Hurlock bodies, and then just after he meets another one of the adventurers. And the other adventurer is a half elf, basically. But in Dragon Age, all half elves look human, and it's a guy with a little bit of like melee skill and archery skill and a few other tricks up his sleeve. But, so there was a few adjustments to his character, but basically you imagine a half-human raised by Dalish. And then you're kind of getting into it there. So yeah, they decide, we're going to stick together, team up. So they come to a big gap thing, a crevasse, if you like, and Throm, the guy that he meets, lowers him down into it, and they find a passage down there, and they follow that up north, and they ended up finding books that clued them in on information about the blood beast, about the true weakness of the blood beast, that you've got to try and hit its real eyes, and a potion there as well, and pushed on. Another one of these things where something you're supposed to be fighting, you've got to convert it again into something else. So yeah. It's just like basically some combat that you can keep fairly simple. A couple of Hurlock alphas basically at that point. One for each of them to take on kind of thing. And they pushed on, went into a big old cavern, and ended up coming to the Trial Master dwarf guy. So he separated them, took them to Blitzel passed the dice test and the Cobra test, and then went on into the arena and fought a scorpion, which was made into an anagram that he had to basically choose his opponent. It was Scorpion or Minotaur, basically. So he kills the Scorpion, comes back out, and, is about to come back out, and then the Trial Master brings in Throm and says, unfortunately, he got bitten by the Viper or whatever, I think it was a Viper. And now he's crazy, delirious, and oh dear, was it a cobra? Anyway, he's bitten by it, and he's going to come and fight Blitzel because he's crazy in the head. So he steps into the arena, and there's a fight, and Blitzel takes him out. And then he's allowed to exit into the rest of the dungeon. So, he pushes off further north, finds a passage that turns. He takes a turn in the passage, comes to an old man, and the old man kind of clues him in on what's up ahead, type of thing. And he takes a path to the north. He takes a right turn really fast, comes to a doppelganger potion, finds the demon bird chair, so where we all are here. Learned about the secret compartment in the demon bird chair from the old man, so was able to get in there and access the goodies. Came to the water pit, the wall where there's water, ends at a wall, and it doesn't look like you're going to be able to carry on, and you've got to have the guts to try and swim under, but there's no obvious way. But he'd already read the clue earlier, the tip about dealing with the wall, basically. These things are portrayed in poems to the player characters, and it told them to get under and keep swimming and swimming and swimming, and then when you can't hold your breath anymore, you're just going to have to surface and hope that there's a pocket of air above, and indeed there was. So it was uncertain, visually to look at whether that would be the case. So you got to kind of have faith. Ended up coming to a room where the elf girl competitor was being strangled by a boa constrictor, and he cut the snake off of her, and she gave him some last words and that kind of deal. He pushes on, comes to a bunch of little things that in Deathtrap Dungeon are supposed to be troglodytes. So in this case, we aren't even going into what the hell they are, because they're obviously too small to be genlocks. And the idea is that this fucked up shit can exist in here, stuff like manticores, which the warning was given about the manticore previously, beware the spikes, beware its tail, kind of thing. Be ready to shield yourself. And because this is Tevinter, and the mages rule supreme, and we know from the story of what they did getting into the Maker's Golden City that they are very foolish when it comes to their usage of magic. And I'd say the key word here is hubris for the Tevinter mages. And I'd say, that continuation of theme. Yeah. So anyway, they're messing with things, making unnatural spells and effects to things. And we get to that point. He runs on through them using a doppelganger spell to look just like one of these nasty little messed up things. And comes to a locked door after running over a bridge, and finds that it's the iron key that turns the lock so he can click and go in. So in he goes. Now that was a really fast recap, and that's where actually the next session took us up to. Would you believe it? My God. Well, anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there, because that is where the session did end. It took longer to actually do than it does to recap, but that's nice, isn't it, when we get a quick one? Just telling you kind of what Blitzel's route through was. Doesn't help because obviously we were doing this over the phone, online, hands-free and whatever, and he was doing his dice via Roll20, but I could tell that he was using a guide there and had privy to information that he shouldn't have. So it's up to him if he's going to do that. I would like to have thought that we could have run the dungeon without him knowing the path through, but I let it go. I mean, I definitely could tell, he maybe doesn't think I'd be able to tell, but I can tell. And as far as, it's just a bit sad, really, it's a bit sad for him that he feels he has to do that, because because we're taking notes on where all the turnings are. You can always backtrack to a turning and go a different way. You're never trapped like you are in the book. That's the point of taking account of the numbers of the book as we go, and just have faith, really. And just relax and have some fun and let everything be a complete secret. But, instead of like a suggested completion order for how to beat the thing, as I say, I let it go because we'd already started. And secondly, I knew that there were some threats in the dungeon that, because of the way they're going to be converted, that nothing in the guide can actually save him from that, because, where it would say test your luck, I then try to figure out what the situation is that they're trying to test your luck on, for example. So it might say, oh yeah, you try to make a certain jump and it's very, very long, and you stumbled a little bit as you jumped, test your luck. And at that point, I would have a player do the strength jumping instead of a test your luck. Whereas a test your luck could come out differently in trying to persuade someone. So at that point it would be communication, persuasion. So they both test your luck, but you've got to work out what test to make. So there's going to be weak points in the player where no amount of guides are going to help them anyway. But it's a bit sad, isn't it? Bit sad. It's a cheated win, but there it is. If he can get to the end, but it's cheated victory up to the point. So, about to open the iron door, about to push on into the final section of the dungeon, where the greatest perils, perhaps, exist, where we will see the Manticore and the Blood Beast and that strange assassin. Everyone else has a reason as well for being here. There were internal plot reasons. So, for instance, the reason the ninja isn't here, the assassin type blokey, he is in here essentially as an assassin, as a talus of the Kun. So he's got a secret assignment of whatever it is, I guess, to kill one of the other people in here. And Blitzel is being guided by the fact that the spiritual thing inside him is pushing him to do these dangerous things. And Throm, who he met with, who's, as I say, had to be drastically changed to make him into a not two-dimensional He-Man, effectively, it was just, which was okay in the 80s, but it's a bit laughable now, isn't it? And yeah, he had to be changed, and yeah, he basically admitted they had a bit of a good RP relationship going before it came to all the having to battle between them. So that was good, at least. We could work with some of those roleplay virtues, build a bit of camaraderie, save each other's ass here and there, kind of thing. And I always knew, it was going to come to the arena, and that was going to happen. And that was really powerful first time round when I read it all those years ago. And that's one of the areas that I never forgot of the book after, reading it. It's like, we met the guy, we went with him, wow, I'm teamed up with someone, wow, I'm having to face off against them now in an arena. Oh, this is heartbreaking, I thought we'd be mates right up to the final door. I knew that only one can leave, but still, yeah, bit of company on these adventures is nice sometimes. And this isn't the only fighting fantasy in which you've been able to have company. It's always magical when you can do it, isn't it? Yeah, well, anyway, his reason for coming in is the Dalish want Sukhumvit dead. He has wronged them in some way, so he's come here and he wanted to complete the trial and then leave and, be the victorious champion and then stab Sukhumvit. Get him. And that's the only way you can actually get close to the Baron, is by winning the trial. Because his security normally are just shit hot, but for the victor you can actually come up close to him. And he wasn't prepared for anyone ever to be able to win it anyway. But, Blitzel still to the end of that. Well, anyway, look, we're going to stop there, and we'll continue next time. I'll see you at the table.